What if I told you he was so much more than a man who simply sounds like the Cookie Monster? We all know him as Dikembe Mutombo, but technically, his full name is
Dikembe Mutombo Polanda Mukamba Dikenjanjakwa Mutombo.
We know he has the iconic finger wag and he's a lovable personality, but just how good of a basketball player was he really? Well, let's start from the beginning. Mutombo came from the Democratic Republic of the Congo to attend Georgetown University at the age of 21. The crazy thing is, Mutombo attended Georgetown with the intent of becoming a doctor, but the Hoyas head coach John Thompson recruited him to play basketball. After 3 seasons in college, Mutombo entered the 1991 NBA draft, and the 7'2" center was selected with the 4th overall pick by the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets were coming off of a season where they were the worst-ranked defense in the entire league. In that aspect, you couldn't have made a better addition than Mutombo, who as a 25-year-old rookie averaged 16.6 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 3 blocks on 49.3% shooting, good enough to make him an all-star that season. Pretty good for a rookie who wasn't even thinking about basketball just a few years earlier. Believe it or not, this rookie year was Dikembe's highest scoring season of his career. He was never a great scorer, but that was also never something he truly focused on. Other than his rookie season, Dikembe never averaged more than 10 shots per game. He was capable and he could contribute offensively, but he knew his skill set and his role, and he would continue to excel at it. His Nuggets still weren't winning many games, but in a year, they went from the worst defense in the league to the top half of the NBA, all thanks to Mutombo's impact with his blocks and rim protection in general. Over those next several years, he would continue to get better on the defensive end, and so would his team as a result. From 1993 to 1996, Mutombo averaged 12.1 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 4 blocks on 53.3% shooting. He led the league in block shots 3 out of those 4 seasons. In the 95-96 season specifically, he averaged an incredible 4.5 blocks. That's the 6th greatest single-season average in NBA history. And for Mutombo, that's only one of his 3 seasons that are in the top 20. In the 93-94 season, he was a critical factor in one of the greatest upsets in NBA playoff history. In the first round of the Western Conference playoffs, the first-seeded 63-19 Seattle Supersonics were taking on the 8th-seeded 42-40 Denver Nuggets. The Sonics were led by their superstar tandem of Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp, along with the help of solid players like Kendall Gill and Detlef Schrempf. The Nuggets had no business challenging these overpowered Sonics, but with their excellent team play, and with Mutombo playing out of his mind on defense, they pulled off the incredible by beating the Sonics in a hard-fought 5-game series. In that series, Mutombo put up his usual 12.6 points and 12.2 rebounds, but he was swatting almost everything with a monstrous 6.2 blocks per game. They nearly made a second huge upset in the next round, but ultimately lost to the Malone and Stockton Utah Jazz in 7 games. At the end of the 1996 season, Mutombo wanted a long and well-paying contract from the Nuggets, but the general manager of the Nuggets, Bernie Bickerstaff, was unwilling to make such an offer since the Nuggets were struggling just to be in the playoff picture, so they let Mutombo walk, a move that the GM has since said is the biggest regret of his career. Instead, Mutombo signed with the Atlanta Hawks on a 5-year, $55 million deal. Over the next 2 seasons, Mutombo continued to be the defensive anchor and averaged 13.4 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 3.3 blocks on 53.2% shooting. He was an all-star both seasons and won his 2nd and 3rd Defensive Player of the Year awards in those years. Behind the leadership of Mutombo and his all-star teammate Steve Smith, the Hawks had back-to-back 50-win seasons. They even made it to the 2nd round of the 1997 NBA playoffs before losing to Jordan and Pippen's Bulls in 5 games. On December 14, 1999, Mutombo had one of the best games of his career against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He dropped 27 points, 29 rebounds, and 6 blocks on 100% shooting. That's right, you heard me correctly. Mutombo scored 27 points on 11 of 11 shooting and then simply threw in 27 boards and 6 blocks. The stat line just looks goofy if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, the Hawks were beginning to disappoint and weren't making appearances in the playoffs any longer. So at the 2001 trade deadline, they dealt Mutombo to the Philadelphia 76ers, who were in desperate need of a solid center after Theo Ratliff went down to injury. Now, all of you knowledgeable NBA fans know that Allen Iverson carried the 76ers offensively that year in his MVP campaign. But what many people forget is just how good their defense was, and Mutombo led the way on that end. Dikembe was named the Defensive Player of the Year for the fourth time, with averages of 10 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks on 48.4% shooting. A great example of Mutombo's impact came in Game 7 of the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals against the talented Milwaukee Bucks. Iverson scored a clutch 44 points, which naturally gets all the attention, but Mutombo also excelled in his role, dropping 23 points, 19 rebounds, and 7 blocks, which was more than enough to send the 76ers to the NBA Finals before they were eventually eliminated in 5 games to the Los Angeles Lakers. Mutombo was an All-Star once again the following season, but he was entering his late 30s, and his decline was sharp and soon after that. He finished out his career playing for New Jersey, New York, and Houston. He was an 8-time All-Star, won 2 rebounding titles and 3 blocks titles. His 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards is the most in NBA history, tied with Ben Wallace. Here's kind of a weird stat, but of the triple-doubles that specifically include points, rebounds, and blocks, Dikembe has the second most in NBA history. He ranks 20th all-time in rebounds and 2nd all-time in blocked shots. He ranks high on many all-time lists, despite the fact that he was a 25-year-old rookie. If he had been in the NBA any earlier, he would be even higher. So now that we've reflected on his career, we again ask the question, just how good was Dikembe Mutombo really? Well, he certainly didn't have the most polished offensive game, and he wasn't consistently a standout scorer, but he was a reliable teammate, the ideal rim protector, and clearly one of the greatest ever on the defensive end. He played with a tenacity and a fierceness that any team could appreciate. Let me know in the comments section where you rank Dikembe Mutombo among the greatest defenders of all time. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.